Hey, my name's Zaid, and I'm here to talk to you all about fear. Not that spooky feeling when you get that jump scare in a horror movie. I want to talk about the feelings that you get in your daily lives that you don't even notice. The heart-aching, gut-wrenching feeling of fear. As a lot of you may know, fear is this very primitive fail-safe ingrained in more or less every sentient being. It's that fight or flight response that we impulsively get whenever we are faced with danger. But it's also those simple feelings when you're too nervous to ask the teacher for help or admit that you're behind on writing your TEDx speech, which the latter of is completely unrelated to anything whatsoever. At first, it seems like fear is a pretty great thing. It keeps us from dying and keeps us from making decisions that we would most likely regret in the future. But the issue arises when we begin to normalize those fears. We begin to build on them, justify them. We begin to become complacent with them and citing them as our downfall. However, bending to our fears is never something that we are forced to do. Rather, it's a choice that we make in our daily lives. And that's what I want to talk to you all about. Fear is a choice. I mean, that's oversimplified, obviously. You can't just control what you're scared of. But what I mean to say is, when fear is your inhibitor, that's a choice you're making. See, I believe fear is a good thing. However, it also keeps us from doing some of the greatest things in our lives. If a human wasn't stupid enough to lack the fear to play with sparks, how would we have fire? Fear stops us from taking those leaps of faith that we oftentimes know we should be taking. It feels like this fear is this heavy burden dropped on us by some external force. It's uncontrollable, undefiable, yet we always have the choice to get ahead of it and overcome them. How would people have started some of the biggest companies in the world had they not gone ahead and overcome their fears? Steve Jobs sold his only vehicle, a Volkswagen bus, in order to fund his venture. That venture, Apple, is now a multi-trillion-dollar company. That's the market. That market cap is about the GDP of multiple small nations. And what about the ex-CEO of Mojang, Marcus Pearson? He quit his day job to work on his passion project, which ended up selling about more than 100 million copies. And half the people in this room have likely heard or played Minecraft. And his company, Mojang, was bought out by Microsoft for a cash sum of $2 billion. See, sometimes we take these fears and we give in, and we just give up. We do what we think is the safest path. But oftentimes these fears stop us from making the changes that we want to make in our lives, like switching to a career that you enjoy more or confessing to someone that you really, really, really like them. I've been terrified as well. Last summer, I had a lot of deadlines, welcome back exams. But I also knew this summer was a time that I could spend on my passions. And so, of course, due to my lack of impulse control, I delved right into the world of computer science. I ended up taking commissions and coding to fund my hobbies, and I ended up working with people from London to the US to the Philippines. People who taught themselves on their school computer to people with master's degrees from some of the top universities in the world. And all because I chose to just do what I was scared of doing. I was scared of doing what was against what was expected of me. And so, because of that, I have no regrets. And even if it had not worked out for me, I don't think I'd have any regrets either. Because I went ahead and I did what I wanted to do. I did what I desired to do, regardless of whatever fears I have. So I know sometimes it feels like we're powerless and that we just don't know how. We just lack the strength to overcome those fears. Yet, Oddly enough, we show that strength in our daily lives. Every single time you ask your boss for a raise or more work, or you ask a teacher for a better grade, or confess your love to someone, that's a moment where you went ahead of your fear and you took what you wanted and you overcame. So whenever you feel like you're down in the dumps and that you just don't have the strength to overcome your fears, you've done it before, you've shown that strength, and you can do it again. Because we don't get to control what we're scared of. We don't get to control our fears. When they happen, what they're about, that's not within our control, but we get to control how we react to them. So when fear inhibits us, that is just all in our heads. I'm Zaid Abuwandi. Thank you all for coming.